Hello and welcome to Hinkley in the heart of England for the European 112 Track Championships. Well, the guys are racing. This is the story of the Spec European Championships. So the grid for the Spec Euro sees Chris Kerswell with his V-Design on pole from Mark Fisher, Andy Moore, Marcus Mobers, Keith Robinson with the associated Oliver Bultnick from Belgium, Mark Stiles, Mick Farrell, Fazer Lee and Simon Rubert of France bringing up the rear. Everything to play for as they leap off the line and Chris makes a superb start, followed there by Mark Fisher, Andy Moore and Marcus Mobers. Chris here, looking as he said, that he had problems with the car in the first couple of minutes, but luckily a couple of mistakes by Mark took the pressure off him, but it did look a bit nervous going around those first few corners. Later on we see right up his backside is Mark Fisher, but he makes a mistake coming up in the second, which allows Andy Moore into second place and takes the pressure off Chris, who's looking to get an easy win in this first leg. Chris still stroking to victory. Andy beginning to pressurise him, but he too makes a mistake, which lets Marcus Mobers in for second place. Andy sets off in chase behind Marcus and in fact manages to get past him later on, but unfortunately he then starts cursed by the problems he had on more than one occasion in these finals, where his cells actually went flat after 6 minutes and Mark Fisher slips through to take a well-deserved third place. Mark Fisher sets off after Marcus Mobers. He's trying to close down to get that second place, but he makes a mistake and lets Marcus take the second step on the podium. But the winner, Chris Kerswell, almost faultless run there, and that gives him that important first win. So the final result, Chris Kerswell from Marcus Mobers, Mark Fisher of Germany, Keith Robinson doing very well there, the fourth, the associated driver, Mark Stiles, Mick Farrell, Olly Bultnick, Fazer Lee, Simon Rubert and the unlucky Andy Moore bringing up the rear. So with the second leg about to start, Chris knew he just needed to win in this leg and he would be champion. But he made a mistake on the first corner, which caused carnage and took out several of the leading runners. If we look at this again, we can see that Chris spins on the yellow plastic, takes out Mark Fisher, letting Andy Moore, who makes a mistake as well, slides wide. And Marcus Mobers, car 4, is the big winner, and he takes the lead. Andy Moore now stroking the car through. He actually now had taken the lead and was looking really untouchable when again he had the same problem. He ran out of power at 6 minutes, which lets Marcus Mobers just cruise past him along the straight, and Andy unfortunately into retirement for the second race in a row. Behind him there was lots of action and we saw Keith Robinson emerging from the carnage in second place, which put him actually in quite a good position for the overall championship. Marcus Mobers picking up a win. This gives him a first and a second, which actually puts him in the lead of the Spec class. Chris Kerswell, he has a first and a third, and Keith Robinson has a second. They're the only three drivers who can win. Basically, Chris, though, needs to win the final race or finish second with a faster time than Marcus. The rest of the pack, well, they're out of it, and poor old Andy, well, he's fighting for scraps. So all the pressure on Chris Kerswell as he started the third leg. Mark Fisher, Andy Moore, Marcus Mobers, 1, 2, 3, 4 off the grid. Only, of course, Marcus could win this race, but Mark and Andy obviously going for pride, and perhaps one being a German, one being a Brit, they may support their fellow countrymen. As we see there, a good start from Chris, heavy pressure from Mark Fisher, who makes a mistake and lets Andy into second. Andy really seemed to have sorted his problems out and was cruising away at this point and getting really good time, but still couldn't get past Chris Kerswell. Chris getting spun out that plastic again, but luckily he blocked Mark, because if he had dropped down to third, he would have dropped out of the overall lead of the championship, but in second place he had a chance. He had a first and second, as would Marcus Mobers. He'd be able to count back who had the overall championship. Mark Fisher pushed and pushed and pushed, but he just couldn't get past Chris, who drove a perfect race in second place. But Andy Moore, in fact, must have been thinking what could have been as he stroked to an easy victory. That was battery problems, perhaps he'd be the European champion, but it wasn't. Chris Kerswell had the best countback. He won the European Champion. He is the Spec class winner. Marcus Mobers very unlucky for second. Keith Robinson very happy for third. Mark Fisher, the German, in fourth. Andy Moore with that win got as far as fifth. Mick Farrell, Mark Stiles, Simon Rubert, Oliver Bultnick and Fazer Lee brought up the end. Let's hear from the happy winner.
I was hoping to make the A final and maybe scrape the A final in modified. I C1 stock and made the back of the A final in modified, so very happy.
Well done to Chris, and stay tuned for our coverage of the Mod A finals in a bit. But first, let's join another racer, some way down the rankings. Yep, me. Welcome to the pits here at the 112th European Champion Hinkley. In fact, my pit, my car, though, it's a kit. And not everyone's taken that route, because some people decide to build their own. The 112 car market is full of really well-made kits by all the established manufacturers, but for some reason some of the racers want to go their own way and build their entire car from scratch, or at least the chassis. I asked them why.
But I wanted to have something different. That's why I was thinking about putting the Lipper in front, just behind the servo, and got a lot of reactions because the weight transfer in the car would be a lot different and it wouldn't work. So it was a challenge for me to do so. And yeah, quite surprisingly, it works.
This year we've had the problem of running cells and LiPo for the first time, which is mixed, and we tried running one cell LiPo with a T-bar car, and unfortunately we couldn't get the balance right. So we kind of knew early in the year that we'd need to run LiPo, which means a link bar car. So I kind of decided to start playing about with my own version of a prototype to test various link cars.
Basically, I've been running with some own parts for like 10 years now. In every car I have used, like Associated and also the Corolli one. But I don't know, there was always something I needed to, or I wanted to improve in a car to make it to fit more for my driving style or something like that.
The biggest challenge been testing, just getting the track time. I've been doing it through the National Series, which is the best way I could test.
Basically, I'm testing a lot. I run every Saturday, like a whole day, 12 hours at the track. So we have the same track every week, basically. So it's a good place to test things, and when the track is consistent all the time, you can like figure out something. If you want to improve something, just I'm concentrating on one area at a time.
12 scale is very basic when it comes to the car design, so it's very easy to do. For example, touring car, you've got your differential, your spool, your drive shafts, your wishbones, whereas a 12 scale is a bit of carbon.
It's quite easy. The basic setup of 12 scale car is quite similar. If you compare all the different kits on the market, they all look a bit different, but in basic they're quite the same.
Well, it all sounds like a fine idea, but I think I prefer my cars coming in packets with instructions. But we obviously wish Ben, Benedict and of course Vaser all the best of luck for the championships. Now, without delay, let's go straight to the modified 12th A finals, where John Hindhoff has your starting grid.
Pole position for the Finn, Juho Levanen.
Well, I did a lot of testing coming up to this race, and I think my car's pretty good, so I don't know if I would call myself a favorite, but for sure I should be able to do pretty well.
Behind him, Ronald Volker from Germany in the bright green machine.
I had some one-time issues, but I think now we can look forward to a good final.
Third and the first of the home team, if you like, Olly Jefferies from Great Britain.
I think you always want to be one place higher or two places higher, but I made a few changes for the last run and it didn't quite work. But still, third's not too bad, and I think Ronald will go a little quicker in our heat, so hopefully he can challenge Juho, so maybe can pick up the pieces if they collide.
In fourth position, another Finn, Simo Anonemi. Fifth, Mark Fisher is another brightly coloured car, Mark from Germany of course. Sixth is Andy Griffiths, another one of the Brits. And seventh, the young man who really exploded onto the scene last year, that's Elliot Harbour. Eighth is Vaser Lee from Finland. Ninth, Alexander Hagberg from Sweden. And 10th, another Brit, Chris Kerswell. What an absolutely quality field we have here. Levanen on pole. Watch out for Mark Fisher coming through in that yellow car at the back. But it's a great start, isn't it, from the pole man, Juho Levanen. The Finn pulls away around this very demanding course. Fairly traditional setup. Difficult piece in the middle. And a couple of fast straights. Second place from the grid. It's Ronald Volker. There's our leader. That car looks to be absolutely nailed to the carpet, doesn't it? That's fantastic looking driving from Levanen, and he's very confident, even a big squirt of speed there in that middle section. But here comes Ronald Volker in second, who now has got his tyres working as well. And look at that, he's halved that lead. Now, where are the relative advantages and disadvantages between the two leaders? Because we know both Levanen and Ronald Volker are not one to lay back. They like aggressive driving. Levanen will be trying to break the rest of the field. and Volker will be trying to get on terms and get into the lead. It's Ananemi in third position. He's come up from fourth on the grid, but really it's all about these two leaders early on in this 8-minute A final modified. Now here's Volker. Volker pushing again now, and Volker has closed down the leader. Now this is good stuff by Volker. We've seen him before, very tactical thinking driver. He's paced himself in the early parts of this race and now is trying to get on terms, and this is good because you can see just ahead we've got some back markers, and this might be the opportunity for Volker to put some pressure on the leader. This is much better. Now we've got a battle here. Volker in that bright green car will... Oh, there's the mistake! There is the mistake! The pressure was put on, and the mistake was made by the leader, and Volker was right there. Fabulous driving. My goodness me, what was that? Half a car's width offline by Levanen. In through that twisty section. Let's have another look again. Yes, just turned in a little bit too early. The door was left open. Volker says thanks very much, and now leads it. Magnificent stuff. Paced himself perfectly. Now, can he get away? Because I'll tell you one thing. Levanen will not be very happy about that. Made the mistake himself. He was under pressure, in fairness. But you've got to think that the experienced Finn would have been able to withstand that a little bit better, as Volker had dragged back to him in the middle portion of this A final. Now, here is some interest, because we've got a little battle ahead now for the leaders to get by. And that's definitely Chris Kerswell in there, in that brightly coloured car, who is about to be lapped. There he is. Good heads-up driving by both of the back markers. Moving into the last couple of laps now, and what a well-paced race and well-judged race this has been by Ronald Volker. Time's about to expire, and Volker was there when he needed to be, exerted the pressure, and Levanen's back on him. What's the problem here for the leader? My goodness, this is the last lap. We're on the last lap, and the leader has slowed. That surely wasn't a loss of concentration there. I think Levanen's gone through at the lead, that's for sure, certain, but Volker's dumped. Volker's dumped right at the end, and Volker will be second. Levanen will win it, and here's the confirmation. Levanen gets back the lead on the final lap from Ronald Volker in second. Simo Ananemi, a relatively quiet run in third. Mark Fisher making up a position 2 from his 5th place grid start to finish 4th. Once again then from the front of the grid, Levanen and Volker, and Levanen, as he did last time round, gets the start. Meantime, that looked to me like Olly Jefferies getting overturned from 3rd position. Back on his wheels now, but as it was in the first race, we've got Levanen and Volker leading it out, the two associated drivers. And that's a big gap, isn't it, after that little contretemps in the early running. Quite impressed with the pace of everyone, because only a couple of people got lapped in that first final. If we can pick up a flash of colour from the cars following. No, we can't, because they're so far behind. Everyone else is 3rd, it would seem, at the moment, because they're not catching anybody. I saw Andy Griffiths for a moment up there in 3rd position. Certainly there's the bright yellow of the German driver Mark Fisher moving up from 5th position. There he is in the centre of the shot now. But it's all about the leaders. These guys are quite literally scrapping for 3rd place. Back of the leaders. And again, some lappery to be done, but only in the latter. Oh, a mistake by the leader. Well, goodness me. 3 corners further on from the first final, and yet again, Juho Levanen has done himself out. He just turns in again a bit early. That's exactly what he did in the last final. Gets it back, but obviously can't take the place back after the contact, so settles in behind the green machine, the associated of Ronald Volker. You can't say that there's equipment differences. They're both on the same chassis. And there they go. And for me, Volker has got his head down here and he's starting to get away as they are carving through traffic now. The worry, though, in the back of the mind of the leader will be, will the cells hang out? Because these races are set times, and in the first race, I'm afraid his charge was about 13 seconds too short. On the last lap of the race, couldn't get full power, gave up the win to Juho Levanen, who is now in second place and is not to be seen. There he is. Well, I think this is, at the moment, dare I say this, and I'm holding on to the side of the table in the commentary booth here, but this surely is a winning margin as we're heading into the last knockings. Tell you what is funny is that the spectators here, many of whom of course are competitors themselves, as the leader makes a little mistake, are almost holding their breath. They saw what happened to Ronald Volker in the first race when the battery power gave up, and frankly, if you've raced electric, then you've had that happen at one stage, and they're wondering whether it's going to happen again. It's not. He comes through, and this surely must be it. On the last lap now, and into the Parc Fermé, he's taken it, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Confirmation of the results then. Volker from Levanen, from Fischer up from 5th to 3rd. And look at Alexander Hagberg. That's a nice piece of driving to take him from 9th on the grid to finish 5th.
And before we get into that deciding third A final, here's a quick taster of the 1/10th Worlds coming this summer with an exclusive look at Team Hotbody's preparations with their new car, the TCX.
We're looking for the new rules like LiPo batteries, brushless modus, spool. For the IFMA World Championships, they decide to use LiPo batteries. So we need to kind of right timing to make new cars, because LiPo compared to our nickel metal hydride is totally different. LiPo battery is more lighter, way more lighter than nickel metal hydride. So, but it's more outside, and motor go more inside, and also radio, everything go inside. We test the first time at the TITC a couple of weeks ago. That's the first time drive on the track. It's already feel like much different compared to all the cars. Right. Feel like totally different cars. But actually, the look design's like not so much big different. Yeah. Just feel like more stable, a little bit more steerings, more grip, and lap times. Maybe just a little bit more faster lap times, but more better average.
It's really good. Obviously, when we came back from Thailand, the first time I came here and put the car down, it was you could notice a really big difference. So, like Hara said before, it actually feels like a completely different car to drive. Even though the suspension, obviously the four corners are the same, but basically the rest of it is completely different. So, no, it's good. It's a definite improvement.
And stay tuned to RC Racing to find out how they get on. But now back to 1/12 with your race commentary. It's John Hindhoff.
A slight advantage to the poleman, Juho Levanen, because he's had that pole, a first and a second for both him and Ronald Volker, being that they are the two favourites as we go into the third final. And once again, the meter of the race has been Levanen pulling away at the start and Ronald Volker trying to hang on in the wheel tracks as the whole field goes through. Tremendous stuff. Really been impressed with the quality down the field. Everyone has been super quick here, getting used to the LiPo batteries, which slightly less powerful but much lighter, and the cars seem to like the handling of that. All the drivers commenting on that this weekend, although clearly Ronald Volker got his charging slightly wrong in that first final. It's one of those things. But at the moment, it is Levanen, Volker and Jefferies as they were on the grid, and Levanen not able to break the toe this time, and Jefferies much closer. Ronald Volker, and he's beginning to challenge for second place. And this is not at all in the script as far as Volker's concerned. He wants to get his head down and concentrate on that white and blue car ahead of him. And what he's having to do is just have an eye on the Brit Olly Jefferies in third place. He's more than keeping him honest there. And it would be a disaster for Volker if he lost touch with the leader or got someone in between the leader. You can see him swinging the back of that associate around there. He's trying to get the power on nice and early. And for me, he might be slightly overdriving that chassis at the moment. There is just a little bit extra daylight between him and the leader. And they've once again managed to clear the field. It is going to be about these two, as Jefferies has dropped well back. No, now this is interesting. This is very interesting. Traffic to come. Levanen has been susceptible to pressure in both of the previous finals. He'll count himself lucky from the first one, of course, when he gave it away right here, and then had Ronald Volker dump on the last lap. Batteries go flat, and the car lost power. Nothing he could do about it. Kerswell about to go a lap down. Keeps well out the way of the leaders, but there is an opportunity for Ronald Volker. The German smells perhaps a little bit of blood. He's right up under the rear wing of Levanen. Has a little look down the inside there, but can't get it done. But you can see this now. This is what it's all about. This is the championship right here in the EFRA 112 Europeans. If it's like this, Levanen wins, swap the results round, and Ronald Volker takes the trophy. And let me tell you, there is nobody here that knows that better than Ronald Volker at the moment, and he's trying every trick in the book. Look, tries to slide up the inside there, starting to use a little more curb, and that can be dangerous. Do you know, I'd venture to say that he may have the better car under him at the moment, but he just can't get it in the right place. He's able to close on the leader. This is very canny driving by the Finn in the lead. He's putting his car in exactly the right spot. Both unassociated, of course. And Volker looks down the inside. Oh, he's gone just a little deep into the hairpin. He's dropped back from the leader. Breathing space maybe for Levanen. Can Volker fight back? I was praising him and his car, and look at this. Look at him driving back to the leader. Don't get distracted by the marshals. All kinds of carnage going on in front of them, but the leaders pushing very hard, and there's traffic now, and this is all getting a bit unnecessary as they go past Mark Fisher. They've lapped Mark Fisher, and we're into the final stages, and they're absolutely together. Time is counting down. This is going to be very close indeed. I think the Finn's done enough. Surely he's not going to lose his concentration now, and again a small mistake by Volker. The same part of the circuit, but it's all over, and it will be Juho Levanen from Finland who takes the victory. Confirmation of the victory then for Juho Levanen with 2 wins in the bag. He had the fastest average lap over the tournament as well. Volker in second. Mark Fisher, despite a bad third final, ends up in third place on the podium. Let's go down to Nick Damon, who's got the winner.
Well, I think in the first 2 I made some mistakes and Ronald made some mistakes, but it ended up pretty much even. And in the last one I promised myself I would not touch the board and hope that would be enough.
Now, all you off-road fans, be sure to tune in next month for RC Racing's first ever 1 hour special. Yes, it's the Neo Invitational, and we've got all the action in one cracking programme. That's all next month on the greatest RC programme in the world, RC Racing TV.
No, we can't, because they're so far behind.